Ladies and gentlemen, let's Rick Gaming. Today video we're going to talk all about UWP and the Xbox One, your Xbox One, becoming a development kit. So this is something that's been promised for about 3 years now, the fact that you can turn your Xbox One into a development kit, and it's here. And I don't mean that in a couple of months time, I mean literally today. You're going to be able to do that. But before you rush out and start, converting your Xbox One, there are some really important things for you to be aware of. Well, also, once again, I'm going to talk about UWP and what it's going to potentially mean for us as gamers, whether you're on the PC platform or whether you're on the Xbox platform. If you're wondering where all the slides are and stuff like that for this particular video, unfortunately, I'm just not able to include them for the simple reason of the not been released yet. Basically, I'm waiting for the presentations to be placed online, and it will be over the next couple of months, I'm sure. Probably not even that long, probably a couple of weeks. And there's also been a load of stuff on DirectX 12 and Vulkan and GPU Open and some other bits and bobs over the last couple of days as well that I also want to cover. But once again, I'm waiting for those things to be placed online as well. Anyway, I digress. So, Chris Charla, who is the director over at ID at Xbox, has given a presentation, and he has told us that starting today there is a preview, and that will be finalised to a full release this summer. This will allow anyone to build, test and experiment with UWP, that's Universal Windows Programs, and run them on your Xbox One. Now the great thing is you don't need any specific equipment. You don't need, some super duper high-end system. No, you just need your PC and your Xbox. The user will need to create a developer center account. How much does this cost? I bet you're thinking it's going to cost several £100s, right? Nope, just $19. So that's actually pretty awesome. So the idea here is that they don't just want you to be able to create things for the sake of, use your Xbox for the sake of playing games, but also to create content. So what, first of all, are the issues? Because it's a preview, right? So they're not going to make everything available right now, or maybe they're still working on stuff, and indeed that is the case. Unfortunately, you're only able to access 448 megabytes of the Xbox One's 8 gigabytes. Now, once dev mode comes out of preview, developers will have access to 1 gigabyte of memory, which is obviously far shy of the 8 gigabytes that are available, but obviously that memory has to do other things as well, including potentially running games, that type of stuff. So there are some requirements. You have to join the aforementioned Windows Insider program. You need to be running Windows 10, so if you're a stickler for Windows 7, or for some reason you're a stickler for Windows 8, too bad. You need to have a wired connection from your PC to your Xbox One, so that's kind of an important thing. Install Visual Studio 2015 and Windows builds, and have 30 gigabytes of free storage on your Xbox One, all of which is not too high of a requirement. Now, before you rush off and start doing just that, be warned. You might not want to go ahead and rush off if you're mostly a gamer and you're just doing this for funsies, because there are a few other criteria that you're going to need to do to your console itself. And this means that you may have problems running retail games. They've not listed what those issues are. It might be that they don't install properly, they don't run properly, you might have frame rate hitches, maybe patch problems, I don't know yet. The information is still coming out, but they did say that there will be some issues running certain retail games. Additionally, you're going to need to reset your console to factory defaults. This means that any games, any apps, any content that you have is going to get nuked. Bye-bye. I see this being really popular, however, with developers who are just starting. So let's say, for the sake of argument, you might buy a couple of Xbox Ones for your development situation, one for gaming, one for development, and that would be absolutely perfect. It's still, for a lot of studios, considerably cheaper. And Charla did demonstrate by launching a flight game created with Unity, and apparently a UWP app doesn't actually know it's running on the Xbox. So essentially it just thinks it's running on a Windows 10 device. It doesn't think, oh, hang on, there's, there's a flag which tells me I'm running on the Xbox. I need to do something really special and spiffy. No. It just knows I'm running on the Windows environment. That's all there is to it. Now, you as a developer do need to do a few things here and there. You need to, for example, specify screen resolution and a few other bits and bobs, but there's no actual API for the Xbox One, and this goes for the same with Unity or anything else. Now, that's actually really cool, at least in my opinion. I really like the idea. I think it's actually really awesome. Okay, so what can you create? Well, you can create pretty much anything you would imagine. Obviously, there are some problems. The fact you've only got access to up to 1 GB of RAM, even in the final preview, means you're not going to be able to create something like Crysis 3. Well, you probably could actually, considering Crysis 3 ran on the Xbox 360, but you get the idea. And obviously, Microsoft need to approve it. So, hopefully, we get some fairly strict quality control. Please, Microsoft, do not do a Steam on us. Please do not have a Steam's type of storefront where everything gets through. Did you see the fact that a game, which quite literally is paint drying, got approved on Steam? Admittedly, it was kind of an exploit, but still, that's not the point. So, technically, you're going to need to make sure that the game runs. It's going to be able to run on the Xbox One. It's not going to crash constantly. They don't want you to basically be censors. They don't want to necessarily police what you're putting up in terms of necessarily well, we can only do this or that. But obviously, I'm assuming if it's something really, kind of dodgy, like for example Rape Simulator 2000, or let's say for the sake of argument it crashes the Xbox, or they feel that it's just there to make money for the sake of argument, it's got loads of microtransactions in with very little content, or it's just respun assets, then they're going to say, yeah, we're not going to let that up, which I think is absolutely perfect, and I completely stand behind Microsoft on that. And you can also have Xbox Live running with it. If you so desire, you can work with id at Xbox to enable Xbox Live, which also is really cool. Now, obviously, they're not doing this out of the goodness of the heart. They will charge what they consider to be, and I quote, standard platform royalty that everyone charges. They didn't really go what that is. I've heard different things of around 30%-ish, but I don't know how accurate that is. I actually really like this. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, we have heard some other stuff concerning the UWP. Unfortunately, because build is still going on, I don't want to report this as complete fact. Because honestly, I'm still going through some of the build stuff myself. But Microsoft have also touted a converter. So what it does, essentially Microsoft are telling you that it converts Windows 32 applications. So that would be your standard game or standard PC application, and it will bundle it for UWP. Now, calling it a converter is not 100% accurate from what I'm understanding. It actually is more akin to a wrapper, and it will basically repackage it. So what it doesn't do, from what I'm understanding, is the converter package is for code for Windows Store on desktop. It doesn't appear that it will suddenly make that Windows 32 application run on, let's say, your phone, or let's say the Xbox. Retail Dev Kit unlocking won't give you access to the Xbox One's SDK. So this is also another really big thing, because you're still going to be in essentially a sandbox. So UWP sandbox, you're not going to have access to the Xbox One's SDK. So if you thought you were going to do something really complex, and this obviously goes to the fact that you've only got, let's say, 1 GB of RAM, or just under 500 megabytes of RAM, depending on when you jump on board, you're once again not going to be able to create the Rise Son of Rome, and that's kind of a bit of a shame, but still. And also, we do know that there's going to be a merged Windows and Xbox Store, which means that Xbox doesn't mean Xbox games are going to necessarily be written in UWP. But that does mean that there still could be some code sharing. Now, what's going to be really interesting is what users do with this. Now, one of the big ones, of course, and I have a feeling that there's going to be a big modding community. I have a feeling that there is going to be a lot of security, so I don't think before anyone starts jumping on that it will allow us to do piracy. Well, no. What it probably will mean is that it's going to be more akin to emulators. I think users will do a lot of emulators, a lot of music players, and theoretically, you remember how the original Xbox, you can't say Xbox One anymore, the original Xbox was kind of a catch-all, especially if it was modded. It was really powerful, being a media center system. I wouldn't be surprised if we got to do very similar things. Whether that's going to be official or not, I don't know, because I don't necessarily know if Microsoft are going to be happy having an emulator for, let's say, the N64 or the original Wii. Technically, the system could do it in terms of power. The Xbox One could easily do that, assuming it's got access to enough resources. Easy. On the other hand, would Nintendo be cool? Probably not. I could see them getting a little upset if you got to see their fat little plumber running around on the Xbox One, and I don't blame them, to be fair. Now, one last thing. We do know that the Universal Windows program has come under a lot of, rather, Universal Windows platform has come under a lot of fire, from us included. One of those things is that you've got things like multiple GPUs support, which hasn't worked properly. The ability to turn off VSync, which hasn't worked properly. Now, they are saying that they're going to work on that, which is great. I'm not going to say that I'm not happy they're not working on that, because it's good. It boggles my mind that you would not have included that to begin with. That's absolutely fucking ludicrous to me. It's like, why would you not support multiple GPUs? Especially when DirectX 12 uses multiple GPUs on so many different things. For example, explicit multi-adapter. And even if you don't have that, the fact that AMD and Nvidia have a lot of marketing behind multi-GPUs, I could go on a whole bloody tangent on that alone. It really just, you know, when something just doesn't even make sense to you. Like, you can understand if a company doesn't do it because there's an actual, you know, it goes against their business model or some actual tangible reason. But when it's just like, yeah, we're not going to support multiple GPUs. Why? Fucked if I know. It's like, Anyway, God, that makes me so puzzled. One of the problems is they still haven't addressed, at least at the time I'm speaking, the major issue a lot of folks have had in the fact that UWP on the PC is still a black box. Now, you may recall that this basically means you can't hijack API calls, which you might say, hijack API calls? Why the hell would you want to do that? Well, that means fraps, that means screenshot applications, that means DxTory, that even means game overlays, and we all know that they could be anything from Steam or what have you. Yeah, it turns out you can't do that yet. Now, Microsoft have told us that they're working on solutions to this stuff, but modders are really upset about this because we don't want a black box, because it basically means that, well, files are unmoddable, or at least really friggin' difficult to mod. So what we don't want is for developers to start, or Microsoft to start pushing UWP as like this really well supported format on the PC, and then you get this situation where developers feel kind of compelled to do that, but then we as customers get screwed over because we don't get to benefit from mods or quick fixes, and basically it's down now to the company to keep on top of it and to make sure that they release patches. And let's say, for example, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, there's a game-breaking bug, or let's say, for the sake of argument, a modder says, hey, you know what, I'm releasing 4K textures, or we're doing X. I mean, look at Resident Evil, look at Resident Evil 4, it's still getting bloody texture updates. Look at Skyrim, look at, actually any of the Elder Scrolls, they're constantly being updated. We don't want to be in that situation. Now, I'm not saying Microsoft are evil or anything like that, I'm just saying that, you know, they're making progress, but I would really like for them to cover that, and they've not yet, at least at the at least from the information I've read from Build. But who knows, in two minutes after I put this video up, they could well have covered it and I'll look like a twit. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.